All right, good morning. Happy Saturday. Happy whatever we decided to call this in-betweener, where it is May and June at the same time. We've got 2 full days left of May, and it's also day one of June for those of you who are with Symmetry and still plugging away at your May goals. And I always like to know, where are we? Are we still in May? Drop a one. If we are still running for some May goals, drop two. If you're like, thank God it's a new month. Here we are. June is off to a start. Let me make sure I can see. All right, we've got some June folks. Okay. Okay. I'd love to know, just kind of get a finger on the pulse. How did May go? In one word, how would you describe your May? Doesn't have to just be business, but as a whole. How was last month? Mora's ready. I know Mora's ready for June for show. You got it, Barbara. Yay! That is a good word. If you're gonna have one word for a month, promotion is a good one. Blurry. I feel that. Okay. All right. Rick, I like that too. Just okay. Nothing crazy. May was messy. Ooh. Ooh, yeah. I feel messy. Okay. Very cool. All right. So for those of you, drop a three if you were here last week. You were here for, I don't even know what we called it. What do we call it? I don't know. We were talking about some cycles. All right. And we made a plan last week that this week we were going to talk about our superpowers. Um, Rick, I love that you're here. I think you're the only man here. Um, I will say, I will shout this from the rooftop. While most of what I talk about when it comes to cycle syncing and hormones, it is obviously geared towards women, but there is so much to be gleaned from this information for men, for society, as bosses, as friends, as mentors, as guides, as husbands, as fathers. So we're going to talk today about a little bit more about the female hormonal cycle and the four phases and our superpowers in each of those four phases. And so, whether you are here live or you're watching the replay of this, a man or woman, boss or not, wherever you fall, this information really needs to be taught in school, but it's not. The amount of, so I'll tell you guys just a little quick backstory. So, last week we looked at the charts. We looked at the charts. I decided not to share my screen today and do slides because last week was a little bit of a cluster. But we looked at some charts that compare the fluctuations of men's hormones and the fluctuations of women's hormones. And I decided to turn that into a reel on Instagram. And then I shared it on TikTok. You guys, I have over 2,500 new followers. That reel has reached close to 2 million people. There are, not all positive, but there are so many incredible revelations. Women who are my age, I'm 40, who didn't know, women who know but don't know what to do with the information. It is absolutely blown up since we first looked at these charts. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I can send you the charts. I can drop those in the group me. But last week we talked a little bit about, really diving into kind of the superpowers that lie within each of these phases. And we can talk more, right? Men's hormones, they fluctuate on a 24-hour cycle. So 8 a.m. today looks like 8 a.m. tomorrow, looks like 8 a.m. yesterday. And that's very different from the female hormone system, which goes on the course of a 28 day. I say 28-day, but it's not 28 days, right? If we're synced up with the moon, it's 28 days, which is how it used to be before hormonal birth control and hormones in our food and processed all the things. But our cycles can be anywhere from like 20 days to 35 days, and that's all kind of within like the normal range. So every single woman's cycle looks different. But what is true, and this is whether or not you experience the full expression of a cycle, or if you don't. Wherever you are, no matter how old you are, your hormones are fluctuating. And so we're going to talk a little bit about each of these four, and kind of what the superpower is. So let's have some fun for a second. No cheating, no looking it up, no looking at any of my content. Can drop the names of the four phases that women experience. There's technically four, but I say there's five. So if somebody knows the five phases of our cycle, even if you just know one or two, you don't have to drop all of them. Let's just name them out, or if you want to unmute.
Follicle and luteal, but I'm brain farting the other two.
That's okay. Luteal, yep. We know luteal. We know luteal. That one went. There's one other one that y'all know. Menstrual. Hate men, love men, time and feed men. I love you. All right, we got luteal, we got menstrual. Okay. A lot. There she is, Maura, who has been under my guidance and mentorship for cycle syncing. There we go. Um, yeah, a lot of women, even up to and beyond menopause, think that either we're bleeding or we're not bleeding, and that it's just two. Like we're either on it or we're off of it. So these 4/5 are so they are this beautiful symbiotic kind of cycle that we move through. So your cycle starts day one of your cycle is the day you start your period. The day you start bleeding is day one. And similar to how the week begins on Sunday with the day of rest, right? Um, and so the really kind of there's a couple of pieces with so late luteal so we talk about luteal, which is what happens prior. So luteal, think PMS, right? So your luteal phase, but the luteal phase can be really long for some people, and there is a difference between kind of the early luteal phase and the late luteal phase. So late luteal kind of brings us into the menstrual, but we're going to start with phase one. So phase one is your periods. Phase one is your bleeding. Phase one is you are releasing, you are shedding. But also, there's something really, really powerful happening in this phase that needs to be known and embraced. And your superpower here, ladies, is radical clarity. This is when, if we can actually honor our cycle and slow down and listen, everything kind of feels a little bit clearer. And this is hormonal, right? Estrogen, progesterone, they're at the lowest. That kind of like dissipates some of that mental noise, that mental chatter. And so this is our phase of like listening and looking. And this is like, it's not a decision making, right? This is not action taking. This is not decision making, but you are very much so open. Kind of your energetic channels are open to clarity and pattern recognition and ideas. So this is where we're like in vision mode, right? We're visioning, we're dreaming. And if we can, because what happens a lot of times, we feel like we just are supposed to push through. We're just supposed to go to work. We're supposed to do the same things that we do all the time. And we're not baking in, even if it's an hour a day, to just sit in silence and to take care of our body or to take a bath or to rest, just to like really sink in. And there's obviously other ways that we can amplify this with meditation, things like this. We're going long today, y'all. I'm on phase one. It's 9:12. We're going long. If you need to pop, we're recorded. The recording will be up on Monday. So this is where literally we are slowing down and we're quieting the noise so that we can listen and we can hear. So our superpower here is that radical clarity. It is the pattern recognition. It is our brains and bodies are literally primed to vision. Now, this is also, this can line up when we line up with the moon. Sometimes some people line up or align that this would be with a new moon, which would make sense. The new moon is the beginning of the lunar phase, the lunar cycle. But also, some people line up the opposite way. And so this phase might line up with the full moon. So if you are if you're kind of in this phase right now, we have a full moon tomorrow. So tomorrow's full moon. So this gives you an idea. If you know where you are in your cycle, you can kind of know if you're closer to the new moon or the full moon, because we also can kind of amplify some of these energies when we're lined up there. So that is phase one. So then, as soon as that phase is over, as soon as, and some people, right, this is 2 days. For some people, this is 7 or 8 days. So again, every single body is different. But hormonally speaking, once that phase is done, um, sleep is huge. Sleep is a big one. For around the moon and around the cycles. And it doesn't surprise me, Rick, that you're super in tune with the moon. That doesn't surprise me because you understand energy. So next, after phase one is done, literally right away, like as soon as that is done, we start to enter the follicular phase. If I can make any change, I would extend this phase. I would make this so much longer because my follicular phase is very, very short. But this is the phase. This is like, okay, so phase one, we're dreaming it, right? We're visioning it. We're getting the clarity. So follicular, this is when we're starting to plan it out. This is when we're starting to take action. This is when our brain is primed for like strategic thinking. This is where we like literally say like things feel more possible in this phase because they are like neurologically um we're creating more neural connections and pathways faster. Like in this cycle, we're doing that more and faster than any other phase. So this also, if you're doing any kind of somatic work or if you're doing any kind of like rewiring of the brain, right, take advantage of this phase, to really lean into that work because you're hormonally primed to make some extra progress in this. So this is where we're planning. This is where we're pitching. This is where we're starting. It has a little bit of like a new beginning, but truly, it's not the beginning is phase one. This is when we're starting to like move and we're starting to think about, cool, we have this idea, we have this vision, we have this epiphany, right? We recognize what we need to release, we recognize what we need to pick up and move forward with. So this is when we're actually starting to implement and integrate some of that into our life. Your energy very, very quickly as estrogen is rising, right? This phase, you're going to start feeling better very, very fast. You're going to feel more positive. You're going to feel sharper. Your brain is literally like working better. It's not getting caught up. Some of those stress hormones aren't at their peak. So this is like, this is my favorite. This is my favorite phase. This is like that feeling like if you've ever felt like, oh, everything is possible and I feel so positive and everything just feels so good and I wish I could bottle this up, you're probably in your follicular phase. So next we have, oh, I love that. Yes, I am on the opposite side. So then we have our ovulation phase. So for those of you who've been following me or heard me talk about like my burst, my follicular phase is my like prep or I'm getting ready for my burst. And then my ovulation phase is like my actual burst mode. So ovulation, our superpower in this phase is that we are magnetic, we are more attractive, we are clearer in our communication. Like our communication skills literally are the best. We are the most confident. People are going to be drawn to our energies more because really from a biological standpoint, what's happening is that our body is trying to it's trying to procreate, it's trying to attract the mate. So it is like firing in all cylinders and it is like doing all the things, and feeling really, really good to attract the partner in, and it's literally like by like physically, emotionally, mentally, everything is kind of priming for getting pregnant. And so social cues are better. This is like if you're an introvert, this is your phase that if you're gonna do something social, like if you're gonna say yes to a social event, if you're gonna plan a trip, if you're gonna do something that requires you to be around a lot of people, this is the phase. This is the phase where you're probably gonna have the least amount of of resistance in that in terms of energy. Now, introverts are introverts no matter what phase they're in, and extroverts are extroverts. But as a extroverted introvert, I can tell you that doing something social in this phase feels a lot less exhausting than if I'm trying to do it in my luteal phase. Um, that for me over the, having tracked everything for as long as I have. Like I have that information and I know that. Now, some things we can't, right? If somebody's having a birthday party, we can't ask them to schedule it based on our cycle. But things like, you know, team meetings or team trainings, right? Like if you're gonna host something, or if you're gonna be hosting a group interview, right? Do it in this phase. Do as much of it in this phase as you can. So this is also when, as I'm sure you can imagine, we're in ovulation, we're priming our body to get pregnant. Testosterone is surging, right? That is also going to impact our sex drive. That's going to impact our energy and our charisma. And it's the phase. So especially when it comes to a client facing job, I think everybody here is in life insurance. Like more more appointments, more interviews. Like how many? How many can you get into this phase? You will close more. You will run, you will the whole process I feel like just gets amplified in this phase. But this is your time to connect. This is your time to influence creating content. If you're on Instagram, right, or if you're on social media, this is your time to create, to batch content. This is the time to step into that leadership. So leadership, magnetism, communication, those are your superpowers in phase 3. Then we have phase 4. As I'm saying this without slides, I realize like how helpful slides could have been, so you guys can like screenshot stuff. So I'll create that. Maybe I'll host this at a different time with the slides and record that. But I see some of you guys taking copious amounts of notes, which I love. So then our final 4th phase is the one that I split into 2. So the luteal phase. There's like early luteal and then there's late luteal. So earlier luteal, this one isn't so much like a hard shift. This is where that high energy of our ovulatory phase, it just kind of slowly starts to wane. It's more of a slow process. So I'm outside of my ovulation. I'm in my luteal phase. I still feel good. I still have energy, my brain, but I can start to feel that energy low down. I can start to feel the lack of patience, the irritability starting to kind of creep in, but it's a slow phase. We have early luteal and then we have late luteal. And depending on how long your cycle is, this is going to look different. And I usually have a few days, like probably in the next day or two, right? So I'm day 2 of luteal, so I'm still early luteal, but in the next couple of days, I will likely be full in that late luteal. So this phase, okay. So I didn't say this, but kind of to keep the through line going, phase 1, we're dreaming up the vision, right? We're receiving the ideas. We're just kind of in that kind of dreamy depth, right? This is like a good, like reflective time. And then we go into phase 2 where we're starting to take action and we're planning it and we're strategizing it. Then ovulation, that's where we're taking action, right? We're executing on the plan. So then as we get into the luteal phase, this is where we're going to start to review. We're going to review our cycle. We're going to review our results. So again, if we think about this as our month instead of the calendar month, right? This would be the time you're like, okay, my month is coming to an end. What needs to be reviewed? What needs to be tweaked? What needs to be refined? And so this is more of, we're thinking critically. We're starting to think about how we're going to refine. There's a heightened attention to detail. And this is like the thing that I really want to stress is that every single phase has its gift, and we have this superpower that we can lean into, because what a lot of people do is they resist this phase, they dread this phase, and they try to just like forget about this phase. But really, there's actually some really incredible energies that are happening in this last phase, in the first phase, that we normally want to just like disappear for those days. But if we actually can see like, ooh, no, there's actually some really incredible energies that we can harness here and lean into, it can be a game changer, right? So we're not losing these days, and we're not losing the opportunity to refine, to review. And this is where, like I said, we're more critical our critical thinking mode is a little bit heightened. Um, and we start to slow down. And then when we get into late luteal, this is what I would actually say, like phase one in the menstrual phase, yes, we need to be resting. Absolutely. But we need to be resting before that. So late luteal is actually, so I think early luteal, that's when we are reviewing, refining, tweaking, and then we're resting in late luteal and into menstrual. A lot of women that I have been talking to, they feel a ton better once they start. So, day one, they actually do feel better, even though they're bleeding, their energy is going up. Now, depending on how much, right? Sometimes energy is hard. If we, anybody, you know, like, shout out to anybody who has anemia for a few days. And so, really, the rest period is like those 3 days prior, not like let's push as hard as we can until we start so that we can get as much done. No, like we need to be starting, think about that rest period as starting 2, 3, 4, depending on your cycle, track it, you'll learn. But that's when we need to start slowing down and we need to start resting. Those are the days like I now like those are the days I'm not working. I can actually still work and get some things done once I start bleeding because I do start to feel a little bit better because everything is in motion. But this luteal phase is, you know, like that's the slowdown, right? So early luteal we're refining, late luteal we're resting. So the thing that's so interesting to me is that we are literally as women we are built to create. We are built to lead. We are built to be project managers. We are built to see all of this through, but what most women are doing is they're following the blueprint that some that isn't actually lined up, right? Our the majority of society and systems and work schedules and business advice is based on the 24-hour cycle, that the male hormonal cycle. And so what we need to do kind of we need to redefine that. We need to see that actually our biology and how we're built is what's going to set us up for more success so that we're not constantly in this state of feeling like we need to push when really we need to be resting. Because here's what happens when you start to cycle sync, you guys, is that those periods where I shouldn't say periods, I don't mean periods. I mean those moments in our cycle where we the right thing to do for our body, for our mind is to rest. We actually can allow ourselves to rest because we also on the flip side of it, the moments and the parts of our cycle where we have more energy and we can honor and maybe give the business a little bit more or get more done on those days, you start to see this balance and this shift happen over the course of a month rather than trying to make every single day look the same. And this does, you guys, this does not say don't work every day. This isn't to say don't have a morning routine or don't have something that supports you on a daily basis. This doesn't mean don't touch your business every single day. One thing that I will say, all of this became easier for me after I had put in a year of following the system and doing exactly what was told to me and asked of me and getting through those learning curves as quickly as possible. Because then I had the data and I had the ratio and I knew what I needed to do. And now I just do it in 2 weeks instead of 4 or 5 weeks. And so it's allowing me that opportunity to, but the last thing I want is for this to be an excuse, right? Where you're like, oh, I'm in this part of my phase, I'm not going to do anything today. No, life is still going to life. You still got to eat, you still got to shower, you still got to take care of the kids, you still got to do all of the things that need to get done. But how can we make those small tweaks to that? Like how can we start to honor it? Like I said, even if it's just an hour a day, even if it's 30 minutes a day, even if it's not, we're not making any changes, we're just literally having the awareness. I've gotten a lot of messages. Maura sent me some of these of like, huh, funny to think that if I could have anticipated this. Like I'm feeling this way today. And now that I'm feeling it, I probably could have guessed a few days ago that I was going to feel like this. So why did I put X, Y, and Z in my calendar today instead of 2 days from now or next week? So we have to look for those opportunities where there is some flexibility, but we still have to live in this man's world where we're go 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 all the time. We're expected to be on, and if you're a mom, there's a whole nother layer, right, of mom guilt and you know this comes up a lot for me. I have a daughter who's 3 years old, and I just have to remind myself, like, I'm teaching her about cycles right now. Like, there are times when mom can get up at 6 o'clock and she can go until 10 p.m. and we can play and we can do all the things. And there are some days that I'm sleeping until 10 a.m. and we're having dinner early and we're having an early, an early bedtime or movie night. And that there's actually like a rhythm to that, right? That this isn't just, I'm sure she's probably like, what mom am I getting today? But she will understand this. Um, cycle syncing and calendar syncing and Joan. I love it. All right. That is what I have. As always, I know I went a little bit long. I didn't realize how long that was going to take me to dive into, but I'm glad we got there. I would love to hear. I know some of you are already doing this, but what are you taking away? What are you implementing? And I'll probably record the Q&A for those of you. So at the end of the call, what I do is I typically stop recording. We go into gallery view and then I hang out for a little bit longer. I probably got about 10-15 minutes, but I will keep that part recorded, but I'll switch to gallery view. But if you guys got to go, you got to go. I appreciate you guys being here. And I just really hope that this serves you in some way, whether it is supporting the women in your life, whether that is supporting yourself, whether you're thinking about, as you're growing a team, as you're meeting with clients, like how this kind of impacts everything. So I'll leave it there. If you got to go, head out, but I'll hang out for a little bit if anybody has any questions or wants me to dive a little bit deeper in any of these topics. But happy day 1 of June. Hope to see you guys in the Mac room, and I'm sure most of you will be weekend warriors. That's what I'm putting out there. All right, switching gears, going to gallery mode. If you don't have your camera on, I hide here. I can probably turn it on. Probably. I'm going to turn on so I can see people who don't have your camera's on. If you don't have your camera on, turn it on. Bye, Rick. Thanks for
No,
being here, bud.
no.
Oh, you have a
Uh,
question? Yeah, go.
yeah. So when you're calling customers and women customers, do you see them reflecting their energy like this? Like some days they're very easy to talk to, getting to an appointment and stuff, and other days they don't want to hear you. They don't want to do a reset. They don't want to. Can you sense that yourself?
Yeah, and I think there are times that I feel that more. Like when I do dial or run appointments, when I'm in my first phase, I feel so much more. So like that veil is so thin in the first phase. Like our emotions are so much closer to the surface, but that's not just for us. That's also our empathy and the way that we relate to other people. So I don't do it a lot, but if I do end up dialing or running appointments while I'm in that first phase, I do feel like I read them faster, like I'm making more tweaks, and I tend to have these deeper conversations because I think it's two ways, right? I'm sensing them, but they're also unconsciously sensing and reflecting and responding to my energy. And that is one thing, you guys, if you are tracking this, if you're dialing and running appointments every single day and through each phase, track it. Like track just the quality of your calls. Like, did we get there? Like, I don't go over numbers with my clients unless I fully understand. Like, if they have to convince me that there is an emotional need for this. That's why most of my appointments run longer than an hour. Like, I know everybody's like, get this done in an hour or 45 minutes. My average is probably 90 minutes because I don't even start to talk to numbers until I've got tears or I've got that awkward silence of like, oh shit, I didn't think about, like, I haven't thought about that. And you can like see, because I do all Zoom, right? So you can kind of see. And I think that's where Zoom is really important too. But I think, yeah, when we're really aware of this, I think it's not just the hormonal piece, but we know people live really busy lives. How many of you guys have called a client and like gotten an attitude or gotten hung up on, and then a week later you talk to them and they're like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much for following up. I've been meaning to call you back." And they're like super happy. And we're like, "Is this the same woman that like yelled at me a week ago? Like maybe she doesn't know I'm the same person or what?" But like that obviously that could be hormonal. That could be, that could be a lot of things though. That could be that we just caught her at a really bad time last week. Like her her dog might have just died, or she might have just gotten really bad news. And today she might have just gotten really good news, or she might have found out that the dog's tumor isn't cancerous. I don't know. I just wanted to stick with the dog lane. But there's a lot of things that go there, but that's where I feel like don't ever give up. Like until somebody gives you that hard no of like, I am not interested, lose my number, keep trying. Keep trying. All right. Anybody else? Was this helpful?
Very.
Love it.
It's like the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. There's been a lot. Yeah, bad days happen, good days happen. Here's the thing with bad days and good days, of course, right? Like life's gonna life. We're not gonna have good days all the time, but there's also a piece of this that I feel like this awareness gives us a better opportunity to choose and to be intentional, right? Like so much of what we feel, and this might be controversial, but a lot of what we feel, we're choosing it. We're choosing to feel that way. And this is, we talk about identity, we talk about neuropsychology a lot on this call, but we were programmed and there is comfort. And so these like good days, bad days, like we also have the opportunity to just reframe. And maybe it's not good or bad, maybe it's neutral, maybe everything. Like Maura hears me talk about this a lot, like this idea of neutrality. Maybe days are just days, and we can turn down how much we're making the things that happen mean something, right? Like this, I could do I mean, I know I've talked about it here before, but like I could do a whole call on like bad days, good days. Yeah, maybe they're not just days. I don't love the bad, right, wrong. Like, and that for me on the days that are hard, that idea of like I don't like, even though it lines up, I don't like that it is what it is, because I also think that there is a lot of information. So we can have a bad day and say, oh, it is what it is. Cool. That's hands up. That's zero responsibility. But if we're having a bad day because an emotion is coming up or something's triggering us or we're feeling impatient, like sometimes we just literally need to reframe, but also like get curious about why that's happening and explore what is coming up for us so that we can do better, be better, rewire the things, rewrite the stories. Well, I just got an alert on my, okay. Sorry, I have an appointment at 10 and I got nervous because my computer was giving me an alert and I thought I was late. I'm not late. I got a 10 o'clock. Um, so yeah, and whenever you feel like you're assigning that judgment, the good day, bad day, the right, wrong, to just come back to that neutrality piece and getting curious, because any bad day, any day that starts out bad, we can make it good. We can choose to look for and see, and that's where the evidence that we've talked about, right, this like looking for the evidence and the proof, we're always searching for proof, and most of it's happening unconsciously, but can we consciously look for the evidence that what we want to be true is actually true? We've just spent our whole life proving the opposite to be true when it's not at all what's serving us. Um, yeah, yeah, maybe those snappy people. And think about it, if you get somebody and they're snappy, or spicy, like literally try them in 2 weeks. Like make a note that in 2 weeks they're going to be at a different part in their cycle. See what happens. Or just call them every day until they answer and apologize for being a butt. All right. Any other questions?
Marcy, I have a question. I was just curious if, because of all your cycle syncing, are you planning out your whole month at a time with work rather than just week by week doing your calendar then? And how is that?
Yes.
Can you
So
like
like I can
stuff?
pull up my calendar right now and I can tell you when my bursts will be. and when I'll be buying, like I buy all my leads at one time. So I know today I am early luteal. My cycle will start next week on the 9th. My first phase is usually 3 days. So my prep, so during my prep period of my burst, this is when I'm meal planning, getting all my meals ready for the entire week. While I'm in my burst mode, I'm cleaning the house. I'm getting everything set up. I'm buying my leads. I'm booking the appointments. So that will start on the 16th of the month, and my burst will go from the 19th to the 26th. And then I'll start to ramp down, which is going to line up. Like May, I had two bursts, one at the beginning, one at the end of the month. But I actually don't plan month to month. I plan cycle to cycle. So at the end of my cycle, I am planning out and getting everything in the calendar and doing everything for my full cycle. Sometimes that lines up with the month and sometimes it's not. Sometimes like my month is starting in the middle of the month. I have a short cycle. My cycle is about 24 days. So sometimes it lines up, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I'm planning the whole cycle at one time. All right. All right. Well, if that's it, I will leave you guys with that. I hope that was helpful. I love that you guys are here. Share this call with your friends, with your people. We won't always be talking about cycle syncing, but I wanted to dive into that because there were so many questions about it. Also, just so you guys know, nothing is official or final yet, but I might be making some tweaks, some shifts to this call. But for the time being, we're still going to be here every Saturday. You might just see some different might rebrand it a little bit. So more to come on that. I'll keep you guys posted. But for now, go out there, have an awesome June, have an awesome Saturday, have an awesome day one. And you guys know where to find me. Thank you, Rick. All right, you guys have a good one. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Marcy.
Bye.
Marcy.
You little canyon girl.